a realistic roadmap to turn $5,000 into $100,000 in 3 years. Opening: the wisdom of my grandfather. I consider myself fortunate to be born into a family with a long-standing tradition of investing and business. My grandfather, a Jewish immigrant, like many other Jews, carried a simple yet powerful principle in his heart. Investing in knowledge is the investment that never fails. When I received $5,000 from my grandfather, he gave me not just money, but a legacy of wisdom he had accumulated over many years. He taught me the family principles for starting a business. Invest in yourself. There is no asset more valuable than knowledge. Keep learning and growing. Leverage money and compound interest. How you use your money, reinvest it, and let it grow is the most important thing. Manage risk. When you start with small capital, risk is unavoidable. But you must know how to divide your capital and protect your assets. His words set me on a clear path. I didn't just want to be someone who earned money. I wanted to manage money wisely and create a system where every dollar could work for me and grow. Year 1. Starting with basics and discipline. When I began with $5,000, I didn't rush into big opportunities. I knew I needed to learn how to manage capital, understand compound interest, and allocate risk wisely. That's why I divided the money into 3 parts, each with its specific goal, all working toward one common goal: building a solid financial foundation. Tier 1, Emergency Fund, 10% equals $500. My grandfather's words echoed in my mind. Always have an emergency fund for unexpected situations so you never have to withdraw your investments during a downturn. This allowed me to withstand sudden market changes without worrying about losing my capital. Tier 2, Sustainable Growth, 40% equals $2,000. I didn't rush into high-risk investments. Instead, I invested in ETFs and some stable blue-chip stocks, which offered steady growth and low risk. Tier 3, Creating Opportunities, 50% equals $2,500. This portion was dedicated to starting a business, but with a cautious approach. I didn't throw all my money into risky ventures. I started with small opportunities like selling fruit juice made from leftover fruits. At that time, I didn't have the best equipment or a large market, but I was determined. I knew that patience and reinvestment were key. At the end of the first year, even though I hadn't made a huge profit, I learned important lessons about money management, compound interest, and patience in investing. By the end of the year, I had $16,000, and that didn't come from luck, but from discipline and perseverance. Year 2, Expanding and Applying Family Strategies. Year 2 marked a significant turning point in my investment journey. After establishing a solid foundation, I decided to expand my investment channels and apply the family strategies my grandfather had passed down. This wasn't just theory. It was about real-life lessons I learned from the successes and failures in the first year. Investing in stocks. I vividly remember my first stock investment. At that time, I only had $2,000 and knew very little about stocks except what I had heard from friends. But remembering my grandfather's advice, I began to research thoroughly about large companies and blue-chip stocks with stable histories and consistent dividends. I didn't rush into hot stocks. I focused on investments with long-term value. My tip: never buy when everyone else is talking about a hot stock. I patiently waited for long-term opportunities. A clear example was when I bought stocks in Apple and Coca-Cola, two companies with stability and significant market share. I recall when Coca-Cola's stock price dropped sharply for a while. Many people sold in panic, but I remembered my grandfather's advice. When the market is fearful, that's the opportunity for those with a long-term vision. Instead of selling, I bought more shares at a lower price, and that turned out to be one of my smartest investment decisions. Online business. I didn't stop at stocks. I decided to venture into online business. I started by selling a simple product, self-made consumer goods from easily sourced materials. Initially, sales were slow and I had to do everything, from setting up a website to taking product photos and running Facebook ads. In reality, I burned through quite a bit of money on ads, and the results were not what I had hoped. But I didn't give up. I optimized my ad campaigns, learned how to target the right audience, and tested ads with different customer groups. I realized that success in online business requires truly understanding your customers. The second time I ran ads, I was able to double my initial investment. I started getting my first orders, and my persistence started paying off. Managing risk. Every time I invested, I always accounted for risk. I remember once investing in a venture fund because I heard about its huge potential. That was a mistake. I lost a substantial amount. After that, I learned that if you're investing in high-risk projects, you need to manage them carefully, divide your funds, and never put all your capital in one place. I began dividing my investments, spreading them across multiple funds and channels, such as real estate, ETFs, and some small projects to mitigate risk. At the end of the second year, I looked at the money I had accumulated and was satisfied with my progress. $34,000 wasn't huge, but it proved that I had learned to manage risk, reinvest wisely, and learn from my mistakes. Believing in myself and having patience helped me move through the second year with significant progress. Year 3. Reducing risks and focusing on big opportunities. In Year 3, I felt I had enough knowledge and experience to focus on bigger opportunities. Thoughtful. At this point, I wasn't just chasing small investments anymore. I started pouring resources into larger opportunities: real estate, large-scale online businesses, and even cryptocurrency. Real estate. In Year 3, I ventured into real estate, even though I knew it was a high-risk market. However, I did my research and chose areas with high development potential, but still relatively low prices. I bought an old house, renovated it, and rented it out. After 3 months, the house had increased in value, and I was able to rent it out at a higher price. That was my first experience with long-term real estate investment, and I learned that while profits don't come immediately, if you pick the right location and have a solid plan, profits will come steadily over time. Cryptocurrency. I also began investing in crypto. However, unlike many others, I didn't go all in on a hot coin based on rumors. Thoughtful. I researched blockchain technology and chose coins with strong foundations, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I started with a small amount, but when I saw the market stabilize, I increased my investment. Even though the crypto market sometimes crashed, I stayed calm and didn't panic. Staying patient and reinvesting profits was one of the smartest decisions I made. At the end of the third year, I had $100,000. This number didn't come from luck. It came from patience, risk management, and smart reinvestment. Excited. This year was a significant stepping stone toward my bigger goals. But I knew the road wasn't easy. It was perseverance and constant learning that helped me build wealth and financial freedom. Conclusion. The journey from 5,000 to 100,000 wasn't a short race, but a long process that required patience, constant learning, and a solid investment strategy. I learned a lot about risk management, reinvesting profits, and staying true to my goals. I hope that through my story, you'll see that nothing is impossible if you have a clear plan and the patience to follow it. If you want to learn more about investing, managing finances, and strategies to achieve financial freedom, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any useful videos in the future. We'll continue to share financial strategies that can help you achieve financial freedom and change your life. Thank you for following my story. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have any questions or would like to share your own experiences. Your financial journey starts today. See you in the next video.